The Psychology of Money. By Morgan Housel. People might be well educated, thoughtful, and intelligent with degrees from world reputed institutions. But if they don't know how to treat their money or behave with it, they can't continue their wealth throughout their lives. The author starts this book with the stories of three persons with different financial backgrounds and how they end their lives as a disaster or with success. Among those three people, the first person is a technology executive who owned a patent for a critical component of a Wi-Fi router. He lost all his wealth within a few years with bad spending habits. The second person is Ronald James Reed, a janitor and a gas station attendant, who modestly spent all his life. Reed invested his life savings in blue-chip stocks and later became a millionaire. He left his wealth to charity and became an American philanthropist. Now we can find Ronald James Reed's story on Wikipedia also. The third person is Richard Fuscone, a former top executive at Merrill Lynch with the University of Chicago MBA and attended Harvard Business School. Because of Fuscone's expensive habits, he ruined his wealth during the 2008 financial crisis. We can find the news articles about Fuscone like, former Merrill Lynch executive forced to declare bankruptcy just to keep a $14 million roof over his head on the internet. In this book, the author explained 19 essential points that are helpful in our lives while dealing with money. 1. Our personal experiences with money. We all have different experiences with money. People's money handling habits are solely influenced by when and where they were born, and how the parents of different financial backgrounds brought them up. For example, a person who grew up in inflation is less likely to invest in bonds. Another who grew up during the rising stock market is possibly investing in stocks. One person's living style is another person's dream. People constantly make their money spending decisions based on the available information. The momentary incomplete information makes people make bad decisions on their money spending. 2. How do luck and risk drive every outcome of our lives? Most of us believe that we can get a 100% outcome for our 100% effort. However, our outcomes are always driven by two uncontrollable actions called luck and risk. Luck and risk are two sides of a life coin. As an example, the author explains the childhood story of Bill Gates and his two friends, Paul Allen and Ken Evans. Bill Gates and his two friends were the students of a lakeside school near Seattle, the only school of their generation that had the computer facility. These three kids were intelligent, hardworking, and passionate about computers. They had big plans to start a big computer company. The rare opportunity to handle a computer at their younger age made Bill Gates and Paul Allen create Microsoft. However, the third kid, Ken Evans, was not a part of Microsoft because he died in a mountain accident at a young age. This story tells us that our lives are mostly linked with luck and risk. 3. Are we happy with what we have? Comparing our money, power, and prestige with others makes us feel like we don't have sufficient. This vague feeling seeks more money, power, and prestige, forcing us to take greater and greater amounts of risk. Such risks might lead to the permanent loss of invaluable things like family and friends, happiness, reputation, freedom, and independence. As an example, the author provided the story of a millionaire, Rajat Gupta. Rajat Gupta was the CEO of McKinsey and had $100 million in 2008. The desperate desire to become a billionaire made Rajat Gupta commit insider trading, which led to 2 years of jail and ruined his career and reputation. Hence, realizing how much we need in our lives and how much is enough is more important. 4. How does time influence our work and investment results? To achieve more outstanding results, we don't need more significant efforts. Still, we need little effort persistently for an extended period. The compounding influence on our consistent efforts will produce more effective results. When it comes to investing, a person who gets an average return for a long duration will be wealthier than the person with an excellent return for a short period. The author explains the influence of compounding on the wealth of two well-known investors, Warren Buffett and Jim Simons. Though Jim Simons had 66% annual returns, his wealth is smaller than Warren Buffett. This is because, despite Buffett's average annual return, Buffett has been investing for an extended period. 5. Is there any difference between getting wealth and staying wealthy? We should understand the difference between getting wealthy and staying wealthy. They are two different skills. Getting wealthy requires courage to take the risk. Staying wealthy needs knowing how to avoid danger and protect your wealth from catastrophic loss or being wiped out. The ability to stick around either in career, business, or investing can provide longevity. In investing, rather than looking for great returns, we should be financially unbreakable in the long run, which allows increasing our wealth exponentially with the power of compounding. 6. Can we expect 100% results on our efforts or investments? While investing, despite the wrong decisions half the time we can still make fortunes with the rest of very few good decisions. Whether in career or investment, 99% of efforts can give us ordinary or okay results. Only 1% can provide extraordinary results. When we look into Disney's success story, most cartoons didn't bring many profits. The only cartoon movie that brought spectacular earnings was Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Despite catastrophic losses in different companies, the extraordinary performance of a few companies brings superiority of stock index in the long run. Generally, we believe that every investment of successful investors makes profits and overlook their bad investments. Hence, we should realize and accept that our decisions most often produce ordinary or, even worse, very few will give us extraordinary profits. 7. What makes us happy? We may think more money may bring happiness to our lives. Based on people's income, geography, or education, we can't measure their happy life. However, money can get the ability to do what we want, when we want, and with whom we wish to. Control over how we can lead our lives, that is, how, when, and with whom we want to spend our life, makes us happier. In a single work, a life with freedom makes happier than the rest. 8. Can we impress others with our wealth? People generally won't admire or respect our wealthy possessions. Instead, they typically imagine themselves with such expensive things. We may think our fancy jewelry, spectacular buildings, or vehicles bring respect and admiration. Kindness, humility, and empathy can bring respect and admiration to us. 9. Can we measure the wealth as what we see? We can't measure people's wealth in terms of cars, buildings, jewelry, or their social media photos. People with such expensive possessions might be rich, but not sure they are wealthy or not. This is because richness is considered current income, but wealth is the hidden income that is not yet spent. Wealth is associated with investment portfolios, bank balances, retirement accounts, and other things that generally can't be seen. So, before judging people as wealthy, we need to consider the difference between the rich and the wealthy. 10. Do we really need to save money? We should evaluate our spending habits and understand the difference between the expenses leading to basic needs and desires. Some people may not have sufficient money to save, some might think they don't have to save money, and some don't believe they can save it. Irrespective of our thinking habits about saving money, it is always recommended to save money. We can start saving if we control desired things and care less about others' thoughts. We may save the money for specific purposes like kids' college education, future home, car, or other things. Even without any such goals or intentions, saving money for our unexpected expenses is always recommended. Moreover, money-saving habit creates control over our time and options. 11. Are we reasonable or rational with our money? We all act according to our reasonable thinking rather than rational or irrational thinking. For example, we can consider how we react when getting a fever. Though ample research results prove that a moderate fever can boost our immune system, we all don't want to get a fever because it hurts. Similarly, when it comes to investing, we think we can make all our financial decisions using rational thinking. It is always better to make our financial decisions with reasonable thinking. This is because we all are neither rational nor irrational, mostly, we are reasonable in our decisions. For instance, if we buy the shares of a company we like, we tend to stick to it even during its downtrend. This is due to the reasonable decisions we made while purchasing the shares of that company. 12. Can we anticipate the future outcomes with past experiences? The future always surprises us with things that never happened in the past. Specific experiences in the past may not necessarily enable us to know what will happen in the future. In some instances, it may lead to overconfidence about our future events rather than predicting them. For example, if we only rely on the history of the economy and stock market, it can misguide our future market returns. So, when it comes to investing, we always need to prepare for unexpected future outcomes that greatly influence our investment return positively or negatively. 13. Do we need a margin of safety for our investments? In business or stock investments, people always try to withstand without any financial catastrophe for the long run. Irrespective of our investment tools, we should be cautious that our capital money should not be lost, which is considered as a margin of safety to the invested capital. Suppose we are used to spending all our paycheck. In that case, there is always a possibility of financial danger due to unexpected events. This is why we need to develop the habit of saving money, irrespective of our paycheck amounts, even if we don't have any specific goal. 14. Importance of consistency. Maintaining long-term goals and doing the same thing until we achieve that goal is essential. The people like Ronald Read and Warren Buffett, who understood this principle, did the same thing for decades to achieve a greater return in the stock market. While planning for long-term goals for finance or personal life, we should avoid extreme planning ends. In other words, moderate saving, moderate investing, moderate spending, and moderate time with the family will allow us to attain long-term financial or personal goals. 15. What do we need to pay to get profits for our stock investments? Most people are ready to pay the wrong parking fee or other fees for their mistakes. But in the case of stock investing, generally, people don't like to pay the fees. This is because this fee doesn't provide an immediate profit label. Substantial profits can be achieved if we consider the stock market instability, uncertainty, fear, doubt, and regret as the fee, and if we are ready to bear it. Then only our invested capital can provide positive results with the influence of compounding. 16. Can we follow others' investment strategies? While investing, most people unknowingly follow the investment approaches of others. This may lead to possible damage to their invested capital. People of different ages, different risk appetites, goals, and purposes might be investing differently. A 20 years of age person might be ready to take more risks to the investments than a 45-year-old person. A stock trader's goals and purposes are entirely different than a long-term investor's. This is why we should know our investment risk capabilities, goals, and objectives rather than following others' investing strategies. 17. How the pessimism influences us. If we tell anyone that their future will be okay or extraordinary, they pay little attention to our words. But if we tell them that their future is in danger, they will be more cautious about our words. A similar strategy applies to stock market investing. An increase in the stock price might be less discussed in the media. However, a small percentage of the decrease becomes continuous, and flash news and people pay more attention. This means that people are more easily influenced by pessimism than optimism. The main reason for this behavior is that any progress or achievement takes much time to appear. Still, damage or loss occurs at a faster phase than an achievement. Because of the superior influence of pessimism on all of us, it is always good to adjust our attitude towards unexpected things and be ready to accept them. 18. Our beliefs about the world. Attractive fiction in our minds makes us believe strongly in some things if we want them to be desperately true. For example, people living in the olden days believed in black magic to cure their illness rather than seek medical treatment. Most of us try to interpret the world's work based on our own viewpoints rather than how it really works. We try to frame stories or strategies based on what we know and ignore what we don't know. Moreover, we try to fill in perfect opinions of the world with our mental model to comfort ourselves with the unpredictable world. 19. Do we really need financial advice? In the medical field, each individual should be treated based on their biological conditions. Similarly, in finance, we should plan our money decisions based on our requirements rather than considering advice from others. In other words, while dealing with our money, we should follow the below recommendations. 1. Control over spending habits. 2. Knowing about how much return or saving comfort our lives. 3. Giving adequate time horizon to our investments. 4. Comforting ourselves with unsuitable investments. 5. Controlling our time with money. 6. Giving priorities to kindness and humility rather than possessions. 7. Saving the money without a purpose. 8. Understanding the cost of an investment return.